Breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. Yo, check it out. P Diddy's judge made a decision on the freak-off tapes in the criminal case, and he was superseded. I told y'all, and I put my life on it, that they had to supersede him with that indictment they had because it's fugazi. Now, we're going to play this, but before we begin, make sure you subscribe to my daughter's YouTube channel at Juanita Mecca Audio, and subscribe at Mecca Audio TV and Unique Mecca Audio Prison Stories. Let's get it popping. Let's get it moving. Oh, don't forget the like button. All right. You know what it is, man. It's a rough day, man. It's a rough day. Me and Jesse gonna break this down. P. Diddy's judge made a decision in the freak-off tapes. They don't have no evidence against Diddy. You rat bastards that think I'm defending Diddy, I'm just speaking facts and speaking the law. They superseded the indictment and they still didn't even list two names. They're still saying now individual 2 and individual 3, but we find out that the individual 2 and the individual 3 is Diddy's ex-girlfriends that's trying to get the bag. And they put the press on them that if they didn't testify, that all heck was gonna break loose. So of course they testified. So now they saying that Diddy transported his girlfriends across state lines, and you know, they performed, you know, prostitution. You know what I mean? Because this is YouTube. Now, so they're saying that he took his girlfriends across state line for them to sell the Il Nana. Now, do you think Diddy needed Il Nana money? Do you think he got anything out of that money for whatever they sold it for? He may not even have known. 9 times out of 10, he knew. He knew everything was going on. He told them, whatever deal you make on the side, you keep the money. So that means that he's not reaping the benefits from that. He's not gaining substantial income from that, because that's one of the elements, which is ingredients to the RICO charge, that you gain substantial income and that you made over like $10 million a year. Do you think Diddy made $10 million a year having these girls, you know, sell themselves, and Diddy made $10 million to put in his pocket? That's how stupid this sounds. But we're going to play this out because this is a gangster channel. For those that want to know about being a gangsters and those that think that they are cut like that, if you think you're cut like that, they have my old cell to give you.
2 decisions from the judge overseeing Sean Combs' criminal case that we got to talk about. And the judge, of course, we're referring to is Judge Arun Subramanian, the judge out of the Southern District of New York, federal case. So the first decision concerns videos of the freak-offs. And we've talked about this before on other sidebars. You see, earlier this month, Combs' attorneys had asked the court to order the prosecutors to electronically produce videos of the freak-offs. And remember what the freak-offs are, right? Prosecutors have alleged that Combs would intimidate, threaten, lure women into extended sex acts with male sex workers using force, threats, coercion, that Combs filmed and recorded these freak-offs. And these are key components of the racketeering conspiracy, the sex trafficking, and the transportation to engage in prostitution charges that he currently faces. And by the way, he's scheduled to go to trial in May. Now, the defense wanted copies of these videos handed over to them. Not just the ability to view them at like the prosecution's office. They wanted copies of these videos for themselves. And I've talked to lawyers about this before. There's a big advantage to having the electronic video, the electronic evidence yourself, right?
All right, let me break that down so you understand. We're going to keep this real short to the point, but we're going to make it so you understand this in gangster terms. When you go into trial, the government got to turn over discovery. They normally turn over discovery. They give you a box of what they call discovery, which is the police reports, the 302 reports, you know, the FBI 406 reports, the arrest warrant, the search warrant, and everything that led up to you being incarcerated so you could look through it to see where they made a loophole and where they messed up at. So they turned that over to you. But now in Diddy's case, they're saying that they don't want to turn over the tapes to him. And he's saying that he wants the tapes so he could look them over. He could have his specialists, you know, super enhance them to bring up the face to quality to make sure that the witnesses they said was present, or if it was even Diddy that was present. Because what he's saying is that Cassandra Ventura, aka Cassie, turned over freak-off tapes that she made willingly in her phone. And now Diddy is proven in his last motion, to explain to you what's going on. Diddy proved in his last motion that the freak-off didn't happen and that they don't meet the elements of the statute, that it was a bunch of crap. And they laid it out and explained in the motion that Cassie Ventura is the one that was in charge. She willingly set up the freak-offs, allegedly. She willingly, you know, picked the men that she wanted for that night, and she literally, allegedly was in charge of orchestrating, okay, I want you to hit me from the back while I choke you out from the front. And Diddy, I want you over there, and you know, you can film this for me on my phone. This is how freaky they got, and this is what they bring in the trial to take this man's millions from him, right? So they got the freak off going on, and Cassie turns over the tapes that she made and showed that she was in charge, and that's what Diddy is saying, that this was something that we did in the privacy of our home. We was allowed to do that. America does that. But she went to sue me, and when she went to sue me, she put in there that she was going to say that I forced her. I knew that wouldn't stand up, so I told her, get out of here. I wasn't giving her nothing, and I wouldn't give her the $25 million, and then she filed it, and when she filed it and it hit the media, they grabbed it, and they looked at it from her point of view, and they threw me under the rug, so therefore I hurried up and settled within 24 hours is what Diddy did. Bingo! Mistake number one, you know, because, see, like, let's ride. I remember when little George Bush was in and, you know, the people in the Middle East was holding hostages. You remember when we had those riots at the time, you know what I mean, in America. So while they holding them and they had the hostages, they tried to say, give us this prisoner you have and we'll give you this hostage. And little George Bush said, no, never will we succumb to negotiating with the people, you know, because if we open the door to that, then everybody's going to think all they got to do is grab an American to make a move. And that's when at the same time, because we ride, same time that happened is the same time when little George Bush also made a thing in the feds for the correctional officers that if a correctional officer is held hostage, you know what I mean, tied up or whatever, right? If he's held hostage and he's tied up and, you know, his life is in danger and it depended on the lives of the other correctional officers or the security and orderly running of the institution being jeopardized, then you have to let that officer go to his demise to save the institution. So he basically said, if something happens, correction officers, you're on your own, in layman's terms. And that's when we said, oh, we gonna have a field day. You know what I mean? George Bush wasn't playing. You know, he said straight up, you grab one of mine, you can do what you want to do to them, but you still not getting what you want, and we're coming in there and crush you. And it's the same thing that happened with this. If you understand the ride. Let's get back to this.
You don't have to always go over to the other office. You can view the materials on your own. It's a way to better prepare for your defense. And Sean Combs' lawyers argue that under the federal rules of criminal procedure, if the defendant asks for it, the government has to give a defendant the opportunity to inspect and to copy electronic data that is in the government's possession. And that data, that evidence, has to be material to preparing their defense.
Now, you see what he's saying? He's saying that they got to allow them to copy the data. That's what they do in other cases. They give you a copy of it, but they tell them that they don't want to give the freak-off tapes to Diddy because they don't want the public to know that Cassie was in charge of the whole orchestration, and that's what the alleged freak off tapes, consist of Cassie being in control, totally opposite to what they're saying. But by them saying that there's freak offs, they're not letting nothing be shown from the tapes. They even blocking Diddy and them now, saying they got to redact what they wrote in the last motion or letter that they submitted to the court, where they described in the letter that the alleged freak-off tapes that they're showing support Diddy's stance that this was all consensual and that Cassie was in charge and there was no drugs involved because no one was high in the tapes. And by him putting it in motion, they said, oh, you dead wrong. You just gave away everything to the public. You know what I mean? But the meantime, they put in the public that they were freak-offs and left it to the public speculation to create content saying that it was allegedly Demi Moore, allegedly Bruce Willis, allegedly Aaron Kushner, allegedly, what's that boy name from Titanic? Whoa, what's his name? Leonardo DiCaprio. They got you thinking Denzel Washington, Will Smith. All these names came up because the government threw the subliminal lob ball out there, poof. And everybody grabbed it and just started twisting it. And now Diddy and them is fighting back, and they put in motion saying, oh, we saw the tapes they allowed us to come look at, and those tapes don't show what they're saying or what social media is pushing, and the government is not stepping forward to tell social media not to push it like that. So you tell me what is happening. Where that joint at? So that's where that's at, man. Hold up. All right, I'll call them back. But so, that's where we at. So the government is not telling them nothing. You understand? And they want the tape so that they could do what they need to do with it. And the government got mad because Diddy put in motion exactly, like he described the tapes, how he was refuting, or disagreeing with the government stance with what the tapes was for. And that's what this is going to be talking about as we move forward. So I can let old Jesse talk now, because you understand what he's saying, the words that are coming out of his mouth before they come out from a hood gangster perspective. All right, let's tap it in.
And here, Combs' attorneys argued material. The videos of these alleged freak-offs are at the center of the allegations put forward by the government. And they say, look, the government hasn't presented a real, legitimate, solid reason for why they shouldn't be turned over to the defense. It's not like we're dealing with child pornography or classified information where you have to have certain protocols put in place by how that material should be shared or disseminated. And they say, more importantly, these tapes prove our client is innocent. So Combs' lawyers wrote in a previous letter,
Now, this letter that Combs' lawyer wrote, this is what the prosecution is saying, that they played foul ball because they told the public what was in the tapes, which was nothing more than Cassie enjoying her little freak off, allegedly. So that's what this is about now, so you know where we at.
having reviewed these videos, it is now abundantly clear that they confirm Mr. Combs' innocence and that their full exculpatory value cannot be investigated and used unless they are electronically produced. The 9 videos at issue are the so-called freak-off tapes with Victim 1 that the government has repeatedly referenced, causing wild speculation in the media. Contrary to what the government has led this court and the public to believe, the so-called freak-offs were private sexual activity between fully consenting adults in a long-term relationship. Like many Americans in the privacy of their own bedrooms, they sometimes filmed their sexual activity. These videos unambiguously show that the person alleged in the indictment to be Victim 1 not only consented, but thoroughly enjoyed herself. And by the way, Victim 1 is with respect to that sex trafficking charge. And we believe Victim 1 to be Cassandra Ventura. This is Diddy's ex-girlfriend who first filed that initial sexual assault lawsuit against him back in 2023, the person who was featured in that infamous footage from 2016 where Combs is purportedly beating her and dragging her.
Hey, yo, let me say this, right? Let me see. I'm gonna paint a picture right now, right? I'm painting a picture. Just speculate what was going on. Diddy comes running out with the towel, right? Cassie's already dressed, got the hoodie on, got everything on, and she carrying her little bags with whatever he said it was his stuff that she took out the place we had. We don't know. But anyway, so now this is what had happened before, right? We riding. They laying up in the room. Diddy laying down with his legs wide open and telling him to come over here, girl. And she's telling me, nah, you ain't give me enough money. You know what I mean? Like, wait a minute, I ain't give you enough money. Oh, I told you I wanted to have 2 men. You were being cheap. You only got 1 man. I wanted 2 men. And Diddy laying down said, man, I'm the second man. He said, no, you know you never participate. We have a different type of thing. And you don't get involved with this freak off thing. You just sit back, enjoy yourself, and pay for the men that I sit there and I want to come over and bone me. You know, allegedly, you know, I'm just saying this is what was going on. So Diddy said, what? And she said, man, I'm leaving. So he get his stuff to leave, and Diddy laying down, and Diddy thought about it and said, man, she's saying that I'm less of a man. She's saying that I can't satisfy that only the men that I pay my hard-earned money to freak her off could satisfy her, and I'm not worth nothing. So he grabbed his towel and stormed out the room, and he seen her, and the next thing you know was chaos. Diddy, you were dead wrong for putting your hands on her under any circumstances. We're going to say that off the rip. But that's what probably led up to that. I'm just laying back thinking when I'm looking at him with this towel on like that, running out, like he thought about it like, oh, damn, she leaving with the nana. I got to get her. I ain't letting that nana get away. You know, after I done spent all that money, you know. And that's when he came out feeling like it was his piece of property because he paid the money for her to get her head off, you know.
In a hotel hallway while he's just wearing a towel. Remember what the prosecution claims. They claim that she was trying to escape.
Now, y'all tell me, right? Look at this, right? Keep it 100. You know, men and women, both of y'all. Y'all keep it 100, right? If this young lady told you, yo, I want to have a freak off. I'm going to call a man over to bone me, you know, while you watch or while you participate, or however they decide to freak it off, right? You know, if she said to, you know, one of you young ladies that go both ways, you know, I'm going to invite another girl over, you know, to do me, you know, as, you know, so we could do a freak off. Would y'all agree to this freak off with Cassie? Now put yourself in Diddy's shoes. Gunshots. Let's keep it moving.
A freak off, that there was a male commercial sex worker in that hotel room, and that's what she was running away from. Now, their letter to the court said that victim 1 was, in these videos, quote, was happy.
Yo, would you freak Cassie? Look at Cassie. Be honest. If she wanted to do a freak off with you, would you do a freak off? Let's get right to the bottom of this and stop this crap. Look at Cassie. Everybody watching this, male and female. If she wanted to do a freak off with you, would you do it? Be honest. Put it in the comments. Cuss me out. Do what you want. Put it in the comments. If Cassie wanted to have a freak off with you to get another person of the opposite sex while you were dealing with or the same sex, would you allow that? Put it in the comments.
Dominant and completely in control, and that there's no evidence of coercion or threats or manipulation, again, i.e. sex trafficking. The defense said there's no evidence that anyone is incapacitated or under the influence of drugs or excessive alcohol consumption, meaning maybe there was some alcohol consumption. There's certainly no evidence of sex trafficking. Moreover, contrary to innumerable sensationalistic media reports, the videos do not depict sex parties. There are no secret cameras, no orgies, no other celebrities involved, no underground tunnels, no minors, and not so much as a hint of coercion or violence. Far from the government's lurid descriptions, the videos show adults having consensual sex, plain and simple. At bottom, this case is about whether victim 1 was or was not a willing participant in her private sex life with Mr. Combs. The videos confirm that she plainly was. So
what they say, right? All they got to do to let's just play, you know, devil's advocate and lawyer here. All they got to do to prove this, right? It just showed Cassie giving one moan. Oh. And that's it. Trick, you enjoyed it. So you can't try nothing. You know what I mean? No, but I didn't say, You know, say, hold on, let's fast forward the tape. Then they kids go, And you're saying that you wasn't a willing participant? Cassie should have just took the bag and kept it moving. You know, but she wanted to try and tear him down and drag him through the mud. Nothing worse than a woman scorned. R. Kelly said it best. Look where he's sitting at today.
Consent appears to be the main defense to the federal criminal charges. And that would make sense, right? Because the idea would be, did they engage in sex? Yes. Did he transport her across state lines? Yes. But as long as there was no threats or fraud or coercion or illegal, sex acts or commercial sex acts, it's fine. It's legal. It's not sex trafficking. And so their whole defense here is this was all consensual, and these tapes prove it. We need these tapes. And also, I will say, in that portion, what I just read to you, they're trying to separate what Sean Combs is actually being accused of in this federal criminal case versus the claims that he's facing in multiple civil lawsuits. So just because in a number of lawsuits that he has been accused of, sexually abusing and raping men and children, that doesn't necessarily mean that that is what this criminal case is going to be about. And while there's been a lot of talk about celebrities involved in these episodes, and like he said, secret cameras and tunnels, they argue that a lot of this is speculation. The speculation about, what's on the Diddy tapes? They say, no. All of it's not true. We got to be clear about what these tapes are and what these tapes are not. And they also highlighted something else. The defense also said these videos, another reason why I think we deserve them and deserve copies of them, is they were taken from victim one's device, not Sean Combs. So the idea that he kept these videos as collateral or blackmail as a form of power and control over.
So, in other words, Cassie had these videos in her phone and she put in a lawsuit and obviously allegedly told Diddy and allegedly put in a lawsuit that I got these videotapes and Diddy's blackmailing me that if I don't keep, having with him, that, he's going to put it out in the media and he's going to ruin me. And then now, the Alphabet Boys get the information from out of Cassie's phone. From out of her phone. So how was Diddy using that to blackmail us? Somebody just let me know. I'm not defending nothing. I'm just using common sense as a dumb trigger that served 26 years in prison. So whatever ignorance I might sound like, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Blame it on my ignorance. But it just don't make no sense to me. She got it in her phone and she's saying he blackmailing her with the footage that she has in the phone. So how's he gonna get in her phone past her password to get it?
Victim one doesn't hold water. And basically they asked the court to amend the protective order that has been put in place in this case to allow the prosecutors to turn these tapes over to the defense. This was an order from the court that dictated how information would be disclosed and shared and disseminated by the defense and prosecution. And as the defense called out in their letter to the judge, the protective order made this video evidence, again, allegedly of the freak-offs, quote, available for inspection only and not electronically produced. They said, court, you need to amend this. We deserve the tapes. And they also argued, by the way, that we need these videos, we need copies of these, because they said that the audio on the tapes, you can barely hear it. And the lighting is very bad, that the images are dark and grainy. So we need our own experts, our own defense experts, to enhance the quality and analyze the metadata. So now, back to Judge Arun Subramanian's order that came down yesterday. What did he decide? Well, Judge Subramanian denied the defense's motion to amend the protective order, but without prejudice, meaning this issue could be revisited. So Subramanian's order reads, quote, while the government objects to handing the videos over, they provide several options for a defendant to consider that would permit the defense to view the videos, access the information they're looking for, and even allow them to manipulate the videos as they see fit. To the extent these options are insufficient, the defense may propose other options to the government. It doesn't appear that the defense did this before raising the issue with the court. The parties should have these discussions, and if they really reach an impasse, the defense can come back to the court. And if that happens, they should be prepared to clearly articulate why they need possession of the videos despite the options furnished by the government. So,
all right, so this is where we at, right? Let's get right to the point. I'm gonna break it down so you understand it's simple. The government is saying, look, man, we allowed them to come look at the tapes. When they want, they look at the tapes. They did everything they needed to do. We open our office to them. We don't want to give them the tapes. We don't trust them because before you know it, these tapes is on, YouTube with Cassie busting it open or Cassie half naked or, any little thing, that's in these tapes. So we don't want to go out because we don't trust them, And we made it where the lawyer could come see them when he want and whatever he wants to do with them, at our office, he could do it. So if he want to enhance it in any way, he could do that in our office, but we're not letting them out of our possession. But under normal circumstances, they give the defendant the discovery, and the tapes are a part of the discovery. I even, because back then we had cassettes, because we ride. Back when I got locked up, they did all my proceedings on a cassette. So they gave us cassette players, right? And a little cassette that I was able to go to the unit team office. They gave me a little private room to go sit down and listen to it. So, they could give Diddy the tapes, let him go to a private room and masturbate. I mean, listen to it. I mean, he's locked up. You know what I mean? I mean, let's keep it 100. Am I right or wrong? They allowed me to go in there and listen to my cassette with my case from my discovery, but they won't let Diddy or allow Diddy to take the video from his case and his discovery into a private room to masturbate. What's that? Study it. You know, he want to study it. Maybe he want to learn a couple of positions, see what he did wrong, or maybe he can find. Picture this, right? Picture Diddy, could we ride? Picture Diddy in a quiet room, in MDC, looking at this freak off tape because it's part of discovery and evidence of the case, and he's trying to come up with a defense, and he have to show that Cassie was enjoying it, and he see where Cassie said, and she took a finger and put it, and he's like, she takes it out and puts it in her mouth, and she looks at the camera and she smiles, but yet they can't do nothing with the tapes because they won't allow them to have it so they can take their time and analyze it. He might see a position that he remembered that when he was deep up in Cassie, that, she made a certain movement and he felt certain vibrations while he was in her. And he knew at that moment he might be able to capture an expression on her face. So they need to give him the tape so he could go on in a private room in MDC and master. Participate. What's that? Work with the tape. We're just going to say that. But let's get back to this because y'all don't get this, man. That's how comical this is. We can tell jokes. I sit there stand up. As a matter of fact, somebody booked me for a stand-up comedian show.
Combs and his team, they don't get the tapes. And Judge Subramanian seems to be, calling out the defense a bit. Like, you really could have worked this out with the prosecution before, right? Did you really need the court to step in? Did you even ask the prosecutors how you might be able to regularly view and analyze the tapes as you see fit to prepare for your defense? So, look, this issue may be revisited if they really can't figure out a way to make all of this work. And look, it's not surprising that the judge just won't allow the defense copies of these tapes and amend the protective order. Essentially, we're talking about sex tapes, right? Key pieces of evidence in this case is very private, very sensitive. Got to be careful about how this is handled. And let's not forget, Sean Combs is in hot water right now. He was denied bail, again, partly because he was accused of violating the Bureau of Prisons rules by improperly using other inmates' phone access numbers, improperly contacting people, and allegedly trying to reach out to victims and witnesses while he's locked up at the Metropolitan Detention Center.
You see how bad they try to make that sound? Like I told y'all before, everybody uses other people's pack numbers. They only give us 300 minutes a month because Rayford Edmonds got that taken away when he decided to become a rat bastard and tell on the Colombians. That's how that all started. We used to have unlimited minutes. They narrowed it down to 300. Can't talk to all your people, so you might go to your friend or your friend might come to you and say, yo, let me call my girl real quick. It's my daughter's birthday. You know what I mean? And then you put their number on your pack number, and then you call and you hand them the phone and they say happy birthday. That's simple. But they making it like he's using a phone to order these threats or something. Stop the games. Yo, y'all need to open your eyes up because y'all allow them to do it to him, your number one hated man. They'll have the right to do it to your number one loved entertainer as well. You're not going to be able to, listen, it's just, can we ride? It's just like, right, I had a celly that I had to whoop, right? I had to whoop this celly, right? We in the cell and he always sweeping up and doing something. So I ran in there one day to go make a butt naked soup because I was hungry. I was trying to make it on the move, put a little hot water on it, taking it back to the yard and go sit out at the skin table and play some skin. Y'all know that Georgia skin. So I'm out there with the Georgia boys and the Florida boys and Carolina boys, what they call the dirty South boys, right? I'm in Lee County. So I run out to the yard and I come back in and dude is sweeping the cell up, and while I was rushing out, a butt naked soup is the little ramen soup with the little silver pack, right? We call that butt naked soup because it's butt naked. It's nothing but a little season pack, so it's a butt naked soup. So I got this butt naked soup, and I grabbed it, I busted, pop, 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 and I dumped in the thing real quick, and a couple of little crumbs felt like the size of rice grains, you know what I mean? But I ran outside and he's sweeping the swell up, and when I come in, he's sweeping around my butt naked soup noodles that fell on the ground. So I laid back and I watched them, and I said, I know this man didn't sweep up my butt looking noodles. This is how crazy it is in jail. If y'all want to go there and have this mentality, feel free. But it's a true story how this played out, right? So I'm laying down now and I'm getting pissed because I'm watching him sweep up and clean the cell, wipe the sink down. He did everything in the cell. Wiped the mirrors, the door down with disinfectant, but he refused to sweep up my butt naked crumbs. So when he was done and he put the room by the toilet, I said, yo, what's up, son? You see the butt naked crumbs on the ground? And he looked at me and he was getting ready to say something, and I just smacked the crap out of him. Bow! Like he was a $2 hoe. Because that's how I felt. You're being a bitch. Right now, you're being a bitch. You know what I mean? So I smacked the crap out of him, right? So he runs out the cell and he goes to his homies and he tells them that I smacked him in the cell. So when I came down there, I showed him. I said, the man just cleaned up the whole cell. I dropped a few little crumbs of butt naked soup, and this man sat here and act like, he was too good to pick it up because I dropped it and we live in the cell. And I've swept up his butt naked soup crumbs. And I took it personal. Now, if you don't like it, it is what it is. And they looked at me and said, man, you right, New York. You know what I mean? So now they go tell him, yo, pack your stuff. You got to move out before this man kill you up in the cell. You in here playing these little hoe-ass games. If he's sweeping up the whole cell, including whatever lint fell off of your blanket, because germs don't pick and choose who it affects. If I say he used the toilet and I'm not cleaning the urine off the toilet seat, because he made the mess, and then I got to use the toilet seat and sit on that urine, that germs don't have a problem with affecting me, even though it came from him and I'm expecting him to clean it up. See how stupid this whole thing is? See the crazy, twisted conversations that in the lifestyle that we live on the inside, that we worrying about if a dude is going to clean off the toilet after he used the bathroom. And if a dude is going to sweep up your butt naked noodle crumbs, if you spill it on the floor, and now you want to punch a man in the mouth for not sweeping up the butt naked noodle crumbs. Man, let's get back to this, man. I'm just riding.
Can he and his team be trusted with copies of these videos? Now, to be clear, the judge didn't say that in his order, but you have to wonder if that is ultimately a point of consideration in not handing these tapes over to Sean Combs and his team. And with that in mind, this is not the only issue that came up. There was another ruling from the judge we got to talk about. There was another thing the judge decided just now. We want to talk about it. It concerns the same issue. It concerns the tapes. You see, the prosecution weeks ago responded to the defense's letter, but they didn't focus so much on turning over the alleged sex tapes. They didn't want to turn them over, but rather what they focused on, what they accused the defense of, is they alleged the defense violated the protective order. They argue that the defense revealed just way too much about the content of these videos, even though the defense redacted certain portions of the videos in their letter to the court that we all saw. It was a public letter.
That's what I was telling you about at the beginning. Diddy's lawyer described what happened in the tapes, that none of that coincide with what they alleged in the indictment, that this was force, coercion, manipulation, kidnapping, whatever they want to use. They described it in the motion, taking quotes from out the government's, indictment, and then quotes from the visualization of the tapes they allowed them to see in the district attorney's office to show that Cassandra Ventura, a.k.a. Cassie, was allegedly enjoying it. They found out that that indictment was falling, so now they brought 2 new victims. And like I said, the 2 new victims, they are prior girlfriends that he said engaged they said engaged in restitution for Diddy. But like I said, dude, Diddy need restitution money? Somebody explain this to me. You see how stupid this case is getting? And what I want to know is, where's the children? Didn't they say child? Where's the children? Where's the children? See, all this is in civil suits. No, bring it in the criminal case, like Jay-Z said, because he wrote best. These acts are so despicable that they don't deserve to be in a civil court. They deserve to be in a criminal court, and whoever participated in this should be punished to the fullest extent of the law. And then he told Tony Busby, you're not getting 1 red cent, because, you know, the penny Abe Lincoln was put on copper, which is the most worthless piece of metal on the face of the earth. But that's where they put the man that freed the slaves, on the most worthless piece of metal on the planet. Y'all paying attention to the jewels y'all get? Make sure you subscribe to my daughter's YouTube channel at Juanita Mecca Audio. Subscribe to Mecca Audio TV and subscribe to Unique Mecca Audio Prison Stories. Show some love. And you already know the Cash App is $ Unique Mecca Hall. Make sure you hit the icon and it say it was created in 2020. That's how we riding. Let's keep this moving.
But they say that's not enough. The prosecution argued that under the protective order, no portion of the videos should have been filed on that public docket without being filed under seal, basically meaning the public won't have an opportunity to see it. Or they shouldn't have filed it without the defense first talking with the government as to the proper designation. They say the defense did neither. So instead of talking with the government about this or redacting all of the content related to the videos, the defense, they argued, left unredacted descriptions and characterizations of material in these videos that was designated Attorney Eyes Only, AEO. They argued that by doing this and kind of telling the world what these videos, in their opinion, show, this threatens the privacy of the victims in this case. And they asked the court to remove it from the public filing, have it be refiled with full redactions. The defense objected to that. So they responded in a follow-up letter to the judge. They
All right, stop. So that's what we say. So the government is saying that by Diddy describing what they saw in the tape, that Cassie was enjoying getting boned, allegedly. Let's keep it 100, right? Diddy's lawyer put in there, yo, this chick was enjoying it. She picked the men. She did everything. This is a bunch of crap. You got my client in here. You're playing games, but I'm playing these regular terms, but Unique Mecca Audio going to break it down. Cassie Ventura was getting boned, but allegedly. She chose to get boned, allegedly. She picked the men she wanted to bone her, allegedly. Whatever happened, when Diddy put his hands on her, he was dead wrong, and he should be punished for putting his hands on her. But as far as these tapes that you're saying that you got, that this and that, what I saw said XYZ is what he put into motion when he filed it. So he filed it. Now, any one of us YouTubers, anyone in the public could get it because it's public information, and then they get to see what was in the tapes. So the government is saying that you're telling what was in the tapes and you're making us look bad because you're giving up the case. No, the case is that weak that you even brought me in here on this crap. So I have to show them because you said the tapes existed with us having a freak off. So I have to show that it wasn't a freak off. And how I did that is by looking at it, and I see Cassie moaning when I went deep up in the guts and said, And right there, I froze the tape and I wanted to zoom in on it, and you won't let us get the tape so we can take it to our own private people. You're telling us we got to come do it over there. This is a bunch of bull crap. This is what's going on. Let's keep it moving. Gangster time.
said, okay, tell you what, we'll agree to make redactions, but judge, and we need you to allow us to refile this letter, but with narrower redactions. They argue that what the government is asking for is way too overbroad, that we shouldn't have to redact everything. That, look, judge, the government started this. The government has been quite specific about details of freak-offs and what they're alleging the evidence will show. We have a right to respond. We have a right to provide our own description, our own characterization of what these videos are.
Okay.
And the defense also argued that there is a presumption of the public having access to all the details about these videos. Again, videos of freak-offs are the government's key piece of evidence. The public has a right to know, and Combs' rights are being compromised by not having the proper access to this video evidence. So in their letter, the defense writes, indeed, the public can only have confidence in the conscientiousness, reasonableness, or honesty of judicial proceedings if the documents on which judges rely are publicly available. And they say the government provides no adequate rationale for sealing this information. In fact, let me read you this part in its entirety, because I think this is a key to what the defense's argument was, and then I'll tell you what Judge Arun Subramanian decided. But the defense wrote, while victim one may have privacy interests that justify keeping the videos themselves under seal at this stage, including details of the content of the videos, the fact that victim one was filmed while participating in the so-called freak-offs is public information. Indeed, the government has publicized that these were extended sex acts with male commercial sex workers and elaborate and produced sex performances that were electronically recorded. The government has publicized gratuitous details, including the use of baby oil, lubricant, extra linens, lighting, room damage, delivery of IV fluids. The government even held a press conference publicizing the seizure of more than 1,000 bottles of personal lubricant and baby oil. And the government has publicly asserted that during the freak-offs, alleged victims were subjected to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse, including being hit, kicked, and dragged, and that alleged victim claims are corroborated by videos of the freak-offs. Faulting the defense for characterizing that same evidence as exculpatory and consensual is an unfair double standard and demonstrates the government's intent to mislead the public and the court, to accept the government's broad reading of the protective order or turn it into a tool to shield the public from any interpretation of the evidence that could be favorable to Mr. Combs. After the government has been able to tout its own inculpatory interpretation, the result will be an unfairly polluted jury pool manufactured by the government's misleading narrative and widely disseminated by the press. Okay. Now to the judge's order from yesterday. And here is what Judge Subramanian wrote. Quote, the protective order is clear that the defense shall not share any AEO material, attorney's eyes only material, or the content of the AEO material with any other persons. The defense's original letter, which the court ordered stricken from the public docket, did not redact numerous descriptions of the content of the videos at issue, which have been designated AEO pursuant to the protective order. These descriptions are also appropriately sealed under the test in, and then they cite a case. But the judge says this, but to the extent certain of the government's proposed redactions don't relate to the content of AEO material, the defense's original letter can be refiled with those specific sentences unredacted. In other words, defense, you didn't redact what you should have, okay? Namely the descriptions of the videos or your characterizations of the videos. That was attorney's eyes only, not for the public to see. We actually removed that letter from the docket. But I will tell you, it's already been, heavily reported in the media, so.
All right, so what they're saying is that Diddy's lawyer described what he saw in the tapes, and that was for his attorney's eyes only, so Diddy's lawyer pulled a fast one by describing what he saw with his eyes only, putting it out there that Cassandra Ventori was allegedly enjoying it, getting her back blown out. That's what they're saying. The judge is saying, take it down, redo it, and redact what you saw, meaning cross out what you saw so the public don't see and know that Cassie was enjoying getting boned from the back, and when Diddy hit that spot, she said, and Diddy wants to freeze that and blow it up and show it to the jury in nice glossy colors. That's what's happening here. It's that simple. Y'all understand? I know you do, because that's why you come here. Let's keep it moving.
How much good is that? But Judge Subramanian seems to leave a little bit of an opening here that if the government proposes over redactions, if the redactions just go too far and they're covering things that really don't need to be attorney's eyes only, then those things don't have to be redacted. By the way, before we finish things up, I just want to quickly lay out something else. So there was a big bombshell that came out recently about freak-offs. I'll get to that in a second. But just so we all are clear about what I mean when I'm talking about freak-offs and the alleged tapes of the freak-offs, just so we understand their importance to this criminal case, I want to read you just one more time the descriptions of what freak-offs are as laid out by the prosecutors in Combs' criminal indictment. Combs
Listen
and
up.
other members and associates of the Combs enterprise wielded the power and prestige of Combs' role at the Combs business to intimidate, threaten, and lure female victims into Combs' orbit, often under the pretense of a romantic relationship. Combs then used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended sex acts with male commercial sex workers that Combs referred to as, among other things, freak-offs. Freak-offs were elaborate and produced sex performances that Combs arranged, directed, pleasured himself during, and often electronically recorded. In arranging these freak-offs, Combs, with the assistance of members and associates of the Combs enterprise, transported and caused to be transported commercial sex workers across state lines and internationally. Freak-offs occurred regularly, sometimes lasted multiple days, and often involved multiple commercial sex workers. During freak-offs, Combs distributed a variety of controlled substances to victims, in part to keep the victims obedient and compliant. Sometimes, unbeknownst to the victims, Combs kept videos he filmed of victims engaging in sex acts with commercial sex workers. After freak-offs, Combs and the victims typically received IV fluids to recover from the physical exertion and drug use. By the way, a little side note. I keep getting this question. Isn't it interesting that he's going to trial for racketeering and yet he's the only criminal defendant? It is interesting, right? He can't engage in a racketeering enterprise like this, or an alleged racketeering enterprise like this, by himself. So you imagine that there will probably be alleged co-conspirators who are testifying against him. I don't see, I mean, is it possible that other people might actually be indicted alongside him? Maybe, but I mean, at this stage, seems unlikely. I don't know, just an interesting point. It's the same thing that we talked about with Ghislaine Maxwell, right? Anyway, let's not forget that prosecutors allege that these freak-offs, though, they weren't just happening years ago, right? In one of the letters to the court, they wrote, indeed, since at least in or about January 2024, when the defendant was unquestionably aware of the criminal investigation, the evidence shows that he is engaged in multiple freak-offs, some including the interstate transportation of individuals to participate. So that's going to be the heart of the case. Now, we actually heard about freak-offs quite recently. So Rolling Stone just published a piece, and it's entitled, "As Sean Combs' Love Era Began, New Accusers Say He Was Still a Demon." And one of the people interviewed as part of this piece was an alleged male sex worker identified as Nathan. Now, Nathan, in this report, claims that Combs actually contacted him to participate in a freak-off in 2019. He claims this was out in Miami at the One Hotel, essentially a threesome, 2 men and a woman. Apparently, though, that didn't happen, that specific freak-off event or alleged freak-off event, but Nathan says he was paid between $2,000 and $5,000 for these types of sexual episodes, and that freak-offs were, quote, ritualistic, and that Combs would be there. He would choreograph the whole thing. He would watch. Quote, he would pretend to leave the room, but like go around the corner and crawl in the room on the floor and peek around the corner and use the mirrors.
Come on, dog. Do you think Diddy need to crawl around the room, crawl on his knees, and peek through the mirror when he's the one paying for these free calls? And he's Diddy. Do you see how crazy some of this could get? Could you imagine Diddy on his knees like a little pervert? You know what I mean? Peeking around the corner to see what's going on instead of just sitting there enjoying himself with what's going on. Y'all put it in the comments. This is how stupid this is.
This is what Nathan claimed. Really creepy obviously, because it's like your girlfriend. Why do you even have to do that? He claimed that these episodes would occur at places like hotel rooms in Miami, New York, Los Angeles, that there would be warm baby oil, that he was even allegedly drugged during a freak-off. I mean, what he's alleging here is entirely consistent with what prosecutors are alleging.
It's not hard to read the paperwork, watch the YouTube videos, and if you ever cross paths with Sean P. Diddy Combs, you say that he actually assaulted you and try and get the bag. This is the Diddy stimulus era. But Trump is back with the Trump stimulus that's going to override all of that. You know what I mean? It's where the females trying to, get their Diddy stimulus.
Now, we don't know if Nathan is going to be a witness at the federal criminal trial that's scheduled for May, but I imagine that is probably consistent with testimony we will hear, potentially from other alleged sex workers. And if there are paper trails, money, travel invoices, hotel invoices. That is all going to help the prosecution prove their case, particularly the prostitution and sex trafficking charge.
All right, so let's get this right. Let's get this right. So now you're getting money, and you call an escort service. That's legal in some states. And you order a couple of girls. That's legal in some states. And you tell them you're in another state, and they fly to that state, and you pay for that ticket. They come there, they perform what they do as an escort. They escorted you. And then they go back, and now they can file a charge against you when everybody was willingly participating and consented. Somebody just make this make sense to me. I'm just a little confused here. But let me tap out. Y'all, subscribe to my daughter's YouTube channel, Unique Mecca Audio. Subscribe to Unique Mecca Audio TV and Mecca Audio TV, and that's an order. Hit the like button, the notification bell, and thank you for coming, and you get a round of applause. All right, relax, y'all, relax. All right, the QR code on the work. Cop my man Lou Sims' book. Let's go.
Cheers to the crime.
Fresh out the can of 26, he back on the strip, getting back in the mix. What he mentions a gift. You stand up 10 toes down, and I suggest you pay attention to this. Take a little gully posse and put it in Harlem. He cut from the bottom, came up from the bottom. Drop the book, you should go and get it. The Instagram page and the YouTube, you could go and visit. Then you could consider yourself LinkedIn. Sit front row and get Jews from a kingpin. How he went through it, so you ain't gotta go do it. To not pay attention would be stupid. Talking about a man that probably put your grandfather on. Probably the reason that him and your grams got along. A man that generated millions on the block, did his time, never squilling to the cops make an audio. Get it live like 2 G's in the 90s. Drop top beamer so shiny. I let shorty go, she was wine. Treat her like my past, she behind me. Spin a couple bands on the dapper Dan. You be back again, getting green like a Packers fan. No cap, it's a roaring uptown. They be horn uptown, Dominican bust downs. Now we on the positive, we got a lot to give. Now he trying to stop the kids from being inoperative. So take heed, homie, lend an ear. He started in uptown, he gon' finish dead. But now it ain't about selling drugs, buying cars. It's about buying property to make the community yours, so we can get back to the
Cheers to the crime.